Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named 31439 titled Lightness. And if we switch over to here, we have the track on SoundCloud. You can see the album art here, or the single art here. Very interesting, and we've got lyrics here. I know your hand by now, and even though you're down south, well, we'll go out and see the sun turn to grey, unaware and amazed. We sit around and we bathe in the future. It stays. And it's nice to have the rest of them here. We're going to listen through this track from start to finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go. Fantastic panning of those instruments there, those synths. Great tone to the vocals. They contrast well with the mistiness of the guitar line. Okay, there's a resonance in the center of stereo field with those synths. There's a lot going on in the center stereo field. I'm kind of wondering, could we widen it out a little bit? Like maybe have double-tracked guitars, have them on the left and the right, and maybe have the synthesizers kind of have a bit of, you know, like how we panned, what was at the start, we're at the 45-second mark, right? You know, how we have it go like that. It'd be really dope if we could have that kind of width with some of the rest of the more constant parts of the mix. Part one of me, I'm kind of wondering if we have double-tracked the guitars or if we've done one guitar take and put it on the other side. Because sometimes we can have issues with phasing. Because it seems like the guitar tracks have been written, you know, they've been recorded really proficiently. I like the tone of the guitars. Really interesting riffs as well, you know? Okay, it's really unusual. I think I know what we're trying to do here. We've got some interesting tones with the drum kit. I just feel as if I'm wondering if these different textures, if they fluidly notch together with each other. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be paying attention to in the mix. I mean, aside from probably the vocals, but in that situation there we had things panned in different angles that are a little bit uncharacteristic and a little bit unusual and atypical. I wasn't sure where I was headed as a listener. That can often be a good thing because it's less predictable, but at the same time, I like to have a good understanding of where things are placed, you know? Although, again, I suppose that's the strength of coming into a solid verse part. Nice use of flanging or phasing here. It's a cool place to use it, you know, like we've had enough of we've had a lot of the straight-laced kind of stuff. To have a bit of the wishy-washies going on, a bit of that filtering is kind of sweet, not gonna lie. As long as it makes sense with other parts of the arrangement, yeah, you know, the production performance, I think it works really well, you know. Oh. Yeah, there we are. We are double tracking those guitars. Yeah, we understand how to double track guitars, so it was kind of weird that everything was so in the center, you know, for lightness. Very occasional cowbell as well. It's an unusual choice here, but I don't necessarily dislike it. With that album art there, just that little bit. Or the single art. How do I feel about this track? It's interesting. It's a fascinating one. We'll just have a look through the lyrics just before I continue. We've got, I know your hand by now, And even though you're down south, we'll go out and see the sun turn to grey. Unaware and unamazed. Does that say the sun turned to grey? Does that mean we're going to be spending the entire length of a sun's lifespan together? You know, even if there's a distance, we'll still find that connection. I know you and sense you. It was the way we imagined and all our truth was told. I wonder if it stays the same. So are we kind of coming to terms with what's come of us being together and the pain that's there, and maybe realizing we're the same simply because of that shared connection? I'm not sure. It's a little bit, it's a fascinating tale to be sure. Because this is my conclusion for the track Lightness by 439. This is my first impressions with their work. I'll put the album art here. I'll also have the album art. I usually have the album art up on that side. Or the single art. I keep saying album art, single art. What do I think the song is about? I mean, I talked about that in the lyrics section, but effectively I see it as someone having a distant connection to another, a lightness to them. Maybe they're in the clouds or something like that. Maybe they're ethereal, maybe they're one with the universe, I'm not sure. It's interesting imagery evoked there, talking about, you know, sitting and bathing in the future it stays. Maybe we could never get to the point we both envisaged ourselves to be. Maybe that was just too difficult together. I'm not sure. I think it's open to interpretation, but I like the fact that it's unusual, and maybe it's even designed to be something that we are maybe not supposed to understand. Sometimes lyrics can be a little bit obtuse, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just there to keep us guessing, right? To the credit of Lightness, you know, the vocals in this track by 31439, a very unusual, very unusual vocal style. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I think that the notes were hit for the most part really well. Really fantastic vocal texture. Really unique way of approaching the pan of the vocals. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here. It's almost like it was like a dreamlike state. We weren't just going through the motions. I can tell we put a lot of work into not only how to voice the notes effectively in a way that mattered, but it was also part of the production to kind of make another part of the atmosphere of the environment, to kind of get it to slide in with some of the other elements of the mix. That said, and I cannot stress this enough, while I understand the type of style of vocal that we're going for here at its core, I feel that, like, as a listener, if I didn't have the lyric sheet, I may not have been able to understand the words that were being sung. And these days, especially with some of the way that people kind of, I'm not saying that's the case with this song, but it's almost fashionable in certain genres of music to have that legato-ish feel and stay away from the staccatos. But I feel on a first impression, it's good to kind of find a mid-ground between having that sort of style that's a little bit kind of, you really have to listen to it, and allowing a listener to just be let in a little bit, like opening the gate a bit more, just to like let a person have a chance to hear the whole story. But at the same time, maybe that's part of just the stylistic decision we made to have it like that. Maybe the purpose was to have the lyric sheet so that people could read it like that. I'm not sure. Again, it's literally just a little more articulation in the vocal performance there. Aside from that, I'm happy with it, you know. The note choices and the melodies were great. They worked really well with the motif, the main motif, which had a fascinating guitar riff. I liked the brightness and neutrality of it. We didn't really want to commit to a set major or minor kind of vibe. We had some interesting 7th and 9th harmonies in there that were really stellar and star-like, and I see a lot of promise in there, because it's one thing to write your 1-5-6-4 ballad as the first release, but to kind of throw a few spanners in the wrench with extended harmonies, kind of gorgeous there. I believe this was like a verse, chorus, verse kind of vibe with this one, and especially with the track that, how long was this? This was like, 2 minutes 49. That's not that long, It filled out the space really well. What I will say is, in addition to the structure of the motif, the arrangement, the panning of the instruments, the instrument choices there with the occasional cowbells, for example, and just these little specks of different ingredients. There was a weird sense of minimalism that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I'm also not mad about. 31439, I think, understands how to do a picture with music, and for better or worse, I'm not quite sure why everything was so in the center of the stereo field at first, because it filled out later on. Maybe that's just a way of developing a track and moving it forward. If that's the case, I'm kind of not unhappy about it, because it's like, wow, that is sort of unique. That is not something I have. A lot of the time people just have things panned the whole way like that. I've got to give them credit for that. But also, if it's a first impression, even if you have the whole wah, 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 with that synth with auto panning and stuff like that, just to show there is stereo field to it, it can still kind of mess with your C's a little bit. But it makes sense for the extra guitars to come in with the drums coming in that full part in the midsection. So well done. Interesting motif. the instrument performance was competent. You know, I don't have any real complaints about the way the instruments were played. Neither do I have complaints about the different melodic and harmonic motifs there, the rhythms chosen, little bits of ornamentation throughout. It's good, you know. The production and recording, mixing, mastering, when we got to the end and I could appreciate the scope of what was going on, it was what kind of brought it together for me. I couldn't get it initially just because I was still figuring out the panning in those parts. And the combination, the thing about the production is that the vocals were actually pretty clear, aside from the lack of enunciation or the clarity of some of the words that were sung. And again, that's why I have to give it's testament to the skill on the studio side. Still have an interesting vocal performance when you might not necessarily have those words come through well. To still have that engagement there with the panning and the compression, effects change and all that is gorgeous. I know effort's been put in here. I think they're onto a good thing. And there's a sense of uniqueness about a track like this, which I can appreciate. It'll just be finding listeners who get to that latter half when things really kind of ramp up. It's getting listeners to a point where they want to get to the end now. And sometimes you really have to sort of patronize a listener by bringing it in and going, no, this is me, who I am, I'm 31439. You need to pay attention to this, by kind of giving a person a little bit of all at once, but before taking it away. It's why a lot of songs start with a big hook and then they go into the verse, you know. Anyways, I'm sure this is stuff that where we know the limited compression of it was great. I appreciate from like an actual technical perspective what was done with the design choices, the sound design itself. I think that there's probably people who really enjoy this track. It's a shame when I meet artists and musicians who clearly have, you know, production and musical chops here. I'm hoping that even if there's been bits I haven't necessarily personally agreed with in the song, not vehemently, but still like maybe we could do this differently. I'm hoping it comes across in a constructive basis, as I genuinely want the musicians that I review to succeed. And I wish 31439 the best of luck in future. But effectively, this is my review of Lightness by 31439. Hopefully enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and the SoundCloud page. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.